Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Monkey in the Morning. I'm your host, the Ranting Monkey. This is a day. I don't know which one it is. And we're going to talk because that's what I do. Hope you guys are well. I am all right. I'm going to start with a story because it needs told. I'm sleeping last night, right? And I start hearing the scratching. I'm like, what the hell is that? And I recognize, oh, that's Phoebe. She's fucking around under the bed. So I slap the bed, which usually makes her at least stop for a minute. And it starts again. Like, oh, fuck. All right. So I get up and I try to find her. And she's not under the bed. Oh my God, where's the cat? And I hear the scratching again. I'm like, where is she? I couldn't pinpoint it. So I go and open the front door and call her because, like a puppy, she likes to go outside. She really does. She gets very excited about it. If somebody touches the front door, she runs to it. And she doesn't come. So I did it again. And she doesn't come. Like, well, that's weird. So I go back into the bedroom to try to pinpoint where this is coming from. And as I walk around the corner of the bed going to my side, right next to my side of the bed is the dresser. And from underneath the dresser, there is a kitty paw. I was like, oh, God damn it. And then another kitty paw shoots out. And she's reaching. I'm like, come here, baby, come out. And I try to take the drawer out, but the drawer doesn't release. Apparently got to do something on the back side of it to get the drawer out. I'm like, holy shit, I can't lift this up. This is a big ass dresser. I'm like, my son. I text my son, like, are you awake? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, kitty cat stuck. Please come help me. So he comes downstairs and I'm like, she's stuck under this thing. And I start hearing her and I look over and she's coming out from the right side of the dresser. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? I was so tired. And then she did the same thing to my son upstairs. So, yeah, this cat, my goodness. I just wanted sleep. And I finally got to sleep. And, that's how my day started. I did get back to sleep a little bit, but not enough. And then I wake up and start reading the news. And here we are now. So many of you have asked, is he actually going to jail? Is he going to jail? Well, maybe. They're saying that they're going to treat him like anybody else, and he's got to turn himself in by, I forget the date. But there's a caveat that they are holding off. They try to talk all big and bad. He's going to be treated like any other criminal. But it does allow for virtual arraignments. So I don't know. But they're trying to sound all big and bad that he's going to have to come down to the Fulton County Jail and get booked. We got to book him in. We're going to book his ass in, which made me wonder, all right, let's say they do that. What the hell does the Secret Service do at that point? Real quick, thank you, Fuckle evening, folks. First time catching you live in ages. Have a big tip for keeping me entertained so much throughout the week. You make the mundane task much more enjoyable. Well, thank you so very much for that. It's very kind of you to say. I appreciate it. And welcome to the show. Tomorrow's my 35th birthday. Well, Kate, around here we do this. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kate. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Hope you have a good one. I really, really do. I'm crazy to believe this year I'm a mom to a newborn and a teenager at the same time. Oh, good God. Oh, my goodness. That's starting over with a teenager. Was that, okay, be honest, was that an accident? Or did you like get a new husband or something? And you're like, all right, let's have another baby. I have a friend who did that. He, his oldest child was a little bit younger. He was 10 at the time, I believe, when his youngest sister was born. Completely accidental. They went on an anniversary trip and she came back pregnant. They were not trying to have another baby. It's not to say the baby wasn't loved. It just was not planned at all. Anyway, so getting back to Mr. Trump here. I was reading up this story and I wanted to bring it up in this case because this is why I was confused about the Secret Service, because the Secret Service has to protect the ex-president. It's their job. And if they try to book him into like a little general population area of the Fulton County Jail. I don't know how much you guys know about the Fulton County Jail, but it is a piece of junk. Ahead of this week's indictment, Fulton Sheriff Pat Labatt said that if Trump were charged, the former president would be treated like any other detainee. It doesn't matter your status. We have a mugshot ready for you. In some cases, defense attorneys can negotiate the terms of their, surrender and stuff. But consistently overcrowded county jail has been plagued with issues in recent years and is currently subject to a Justice Department civil rights investigation. Fulton County also recently paid out $4 million to the family of a 35-year-old detainee who died last year in a mental health cell. According to LaShawn Thompson's family, he had been visibly deteriorating for some time but was ignored and died covered in lice and bed bugs. 2 more detainees died in the jail in the past month, most recently a 34-year-old who had been locked up for nearly 4 years. So this is where they want to put Trump to prove the point. He's a bad man. He's not above the law. We're going to throw him into this shithole that's being investigated by the Justice Department. They just paid a family $4 million because they let a mental health patient deteriorate so bad he died. Is that really the kind of the signal you want to send? And seriously, what would the Secret Service do? You're going to put Donald Trump into a booking cell, an overcrowded booking cell? 4 years in county, right? I do fucked up bad without doing something horrific. So that's a weird number. But seriously, what does the Secret Service do if the ex-president is put into a holding cell? Are they going to let the Secret Service go in with him? The Secret Service won't allow it to happen. That's what I'm thinking, Jim. But they keep beating their chest, right? He's just like anybody else. That's what they want to do. He's like anybody else. He's not. And look, I'm going to be honest here. This is a case of a 2-tiered justice system, but it's one that I think is okay, especially when you have a district like this where your holding cells are just death factories. This is the former president of the United States. He is not charged with like murdering somebody or anything like that. He's charged with one of the most ridiculous conspiracies I've read about in a really, really long time. How come she's not called a conspiracy theorist for this? Anyway, I think that the ex-president in this case should be allowed to just go, I plead not guilty. Here's whatever the bail is and go home without ever going through the actual jail. You want to fingerprint him and get his mugshot, by all means, go ahead and give him that win, because that is a win for him. But he should not be put into any of the jails. That's just asinine. Thank you, Ministry. This isn't going to end well for anyone. You cannot put Donald Trump just into what's basically a Gen Pop cell. You can't. You're just asking for the man to get harmed. Secret Service signed for him and he goes into house arrest. Yeah, that would be one way to do it. But the whole idea is that he has to do it the same way as everybody else. But then they caveat it. They really do. This page. Let me... is it up here? Keep in mind, defendants can also turn themselves in at any time. The jail is open 24/7. Due to the unprecedented nature of this case, some circumstances may change with little or no warning. See, they like to beat their chest about it, though. They were out there, we got the bastard. He's not above the law. We're going to treat him like everybody else. Except for if we have to treat him differently. Hope I catch you tomorrow because Thursday is my birthday. I can sing to you now if you'd like, Jonathan, or if you plan to come back tomorrow. By all means, I'll try to do it then. Isn't there talk of renting Elba from the Brits and exiling him there? What? I have no idea what we're talking about there. But anyway, they want to pretend like they got him. That's the whole reason for this. If Bragg didn't do this, Smith didn't do this. They were just like, yeah, come on in. We'll take care of what we have to, and then you can go home. There's no good reason to go out there and be like, we're going to perp walk them, and we're going to fingerprint them, and we're going to put them in a cell where they're going to get beat up like Dan Aykroyd and Trading Places. We're going to teach them a lesson about what it's like to live like the little guy. This is the ex-president of the United States who we give 24/7 security protection to. The fuck are you talking about? Devil Fruit Zero, thank you. How can DA run for office on "we will charge Trump with a crime"? Is that protected free speech? Yeah, it is. I don't know about "we will" charge him. I have not found that statement from her. And it's really weird because I went looking. I went digging for Fannie Willis's promises for what she was going to do. And it's amazing how there's none. There's nothing you can find. There's no videos. There's no campaign videos. The only thing I could find was statements she made after she was already elected. If she said we're going to investigate Trump, that's one thing. But if she said, hey, we're going to prosecute him, I think that jumps into a place where she should not be allowed near the case. That shows a bias that, especially with her not having worked on the case yet. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen those statements directly, so I don't know what she actually said. So those fucking slow walls, it may have finally closed in. I guess. I just find it a little bit funny how they're beating their chest about this. And there's no fucking way the Secret Service are going to let this man go into a holding cell. They're just not. They're not without them in there with their guns. Maybe he'll sit on a bench for him if they want, with them standing around him. But they're not going to let him go into a fucking regular holding cell in a fucking county where their jails are known for people getting killed in there. The Fulton County Jail has been the subject of a lot of news stories about how fucking horrible it is. We're going to treat them like everyone else. No, you're not. You're just going to beat your chest about it so that you... Look, maybe they will. And if they do, I'll be honest with you, I don't see Trump coming out unscathed. I don't see him coming out of the booking cell without people beating his ass, which is why the Secret Service would have to be there. Yeah, so it's interesting. Not unless they completely empty a cell and have one just for him. You know what I mean? But otherwise, I mean, you can't, and even then, that's special treatment, right? You can't go, hey, we're doing this because there's no two-tier system, but we're going to put him in his own special place. Either way it goes, it all comes back to them being full of shit and beating their... It's the same thing that the whole indictment is. It's a political show. I actually got into an argument with somebody about the indictment today, and they told me that Trump had threatened to throw is the word that was used, to throw the Justice Department at the Attorney General down there in Georgia. And I'm like, where? Where's that in the indictment at all? And it's not. I went through it and looked. The Justice Department is only brought up 3 times. The Attorney General himself has brought up probably another 4 or 5. The acting Attorney General at the time, actually. And none of it is in regard to intimidation. It's amazing what people want to believe about this without actually reading through it. But that's the perception that's being put out there. We have to believe that Trump is a bad man. Hate Trump all you fucking care. But be honest about this. If this was a case against Biden, exactly the same, there's no way anybody on the left would be cheering this on. They'd be saying the same shit that people on the right who've actually read the fucking thing are saying right now. This is nonsense. This is absolute garbage. Frosted Glass, thank you. Imagine how he'd soar in the polls if he got hurt. Oh, yeah. Put him in a holding cell, let him get punched one time and come out with a black eye. See how that worked. Well, I mean, the Democrats would be cheering it, but look at how the rest would go. Anyhow, people still believe Rittenhouse shot 3 black guys. Well, yeah, they keep being told it still, too. So he's really going to jail, huh? No, Ebony, I don't know. It's what they plan. It's what they want. I just don't see how it's allowed to happen. I don't see how the Secret Service goes along with it. It's what they really want it. They want it bad, so they can say he didn't get any special treatment. He's going to have to get special treatment. He really is. He's the former president, for fuck's sake. But I was having fun mocking up that thumbnail with him in going to prison. I could have put him actually in like a jumpsuit too, but I was like, nah, that's too much work. I did get his height right, though. I looked and made sure he is 6'3". These people who are cheering it on the left, yeah, he's going to go to jail. I know you want to believe that. I don't know why. I don't know why you're that mad about the man. We're not even talking about things like Hunter Biden did, right? We're talking about he made phone calls expressing that he believes that the election was stolen. I saw another thing today that pissed me off around this. I'm so fucking sick and tired of hearing there were 60 plus cases that were lost in court about the election. No, there fucking weren't. There's one case, and I forget the name of it, but they went through ballots down there in Fulton County, right? And they found ballots that are identical. 2 different ballots, but they're identical. And what I mean by identical is like they had to fill in circles for their candidate of choice. And like the one circle would have a tail coming off it, so it almost looks like a sperm. And there's another ballot with that exact same circle filled in with that exact same tail. And there were tons of these, tons of them. It went to court. You know what happened? They were told they didn't have standing to bring the case. They weren't told that the evidence showed that there was nothing wrong. The evidence never made it into the courtroom. Because before they ever got to that, the judge was like, nah, you don't have standing to bring this case. That's what almost all of them were. You don't have standing for this. None of these things were actually argued on their merit in front of judges. So they can keep repeating that stupid shit. But the truth is, these weren't litigated. They just weren't. So, yeah. Anyhow, not much more to say about that. I don't think he's actually going to jail. But it's what they really, really, really want. The standing rules are ridiculous. I agree with you, Faithless. You know what? That's a good time to bring up this other case. Since we're talking about standing. There's a case that just went through, was it Wisconsin or I think it's Wisconsin, where a bunch of kids sued the state. They sued the state because of global warming. I'm only barely paraphrasing. What they actually sued on was that there's not rules that say when the state does something, there has to be an environmental impact survey done. One of the children in the case is 5 years old. 5 years old. A 5-year-old. Here, let's Representative Ilhan Omar. We'll just look at her tweet instead of going to the story because I don't think I have any free Washington Post stories left this month. This ruling sends a powerful message that our environment is a shared responsibility, and it's crucial that we hold those in power accountable for their actions. Young people are at the forefront of the movement that pushes government, businesses, and communities to take responsibility for the lasting effect of their choices that it has on climate. Kevin Sire, thanks so much. He won't go to jail. The Secret Service will sign for him and place him in house arrest. If the sheriff plays nice, they might tell him where Trump is being held and might let a clerk see him at home to fingerprint him. There's nothing wrong with bringing him in to fingerprint him and even get his mugshot. They're just not going to allow him to be thrown in a holding cell. Breaking news: in the first ruling of its kind nationwide, A Montana state court decided Monday in favor of young people who alleged the state violated their rights to clean and healthful environment by promoting the use of fossil fuels. The court determined that a provision in the Montana Environmental Policy Act has harmed the state environment, and that young plaintiffs by preventing Montana from considering the climate impacts of energy projects. So what this means is they set up they give a permit to set up a new power plant. Well, they're not doing enough environmental studies. Not enough environmental studies. And a 5-year-old came up with that, apparently. The 5-year-old had standing. For fuck's sake. All right. If you want to say that, young people were involved, that's fine. But the ages on this, I think it's 5 young people, and they are from the age of 5 to 22. Why would you include the 5-year-old? I've said this so many times. When the left tells you that children are smarter than them, believe them, because they're not lying. Children are smarter than the left because they're just that retarded on the left these days. A child can tell you that a man has a penis and a woman has a vagina. But yeah, what gender is a 5-year-old? I don't know. Probably non-binary. The 5-year-old suing the state sounds more like a parent pushing the kid to sue. You think? I didn't mean that to sound so rude, but yeah, there's the 5-year-old sitting at home, playing blocks, watching some cartoons, and he's like, "Man, that new power plant, they didn't do an environmental impact survey, and I gotta get a lawyer." A fucking 5-year-old, for God's sake. But people who are looking at the election going, "Hey, there's some fucked up shit here. I'm sorry you don't got standing for this." What you needed was a 5-year-old down there to be like, "Hey, these signatures match identical. The way the ballots were filled out are literally fucking identical." And then you'd be like, "Oh, the 5-year-old said it. So yeah, we got to actually look at this." Thank you, Keldrig. Are we sure it's not just a midget? No, it's not a midget. It's just a 5-year-old. I would love to see the 5-year-old statement to the court. I bet it would be an interesting read. 5-year-olds are not known for their long-winded lawyerly writings. For fuck's sake. This is just nonsensical. I don't even know what to make of this world anymore, if I'm being honest with you. Look, should they have to do environmental impact studies? I don't know. I think most of that shit is nonsense. And it's just a way to keep people from conducting business. It's more red tape for the county, the state, sometimes even the city, to get money that they don't really deserve. We gotta have this impact study. It pushes an environmental message that is nonsensical, and frankly based on communism. You don't have to like that, but that's where it comes from. And it's all about redistributing wealth. It's what it's always been about, and that's what it's always going to be about. Is it wrong to look and go, "Hey, this might destroy a river? If we move it around, you're going to have salmon all die off"? No, it's fine to look at. The problem is that's not what they look at. They go in and like, "Oh, there's a toad nobody's ever seen and nobody cares about. It doesn't do anything for the environment except for live in this little swampy land. And if you fix this swampy land, they might have to go live somewhere else. We can't let you do it. Sorry." And it's all a bunch of fucking stupid shit. It's all a bunch of nonsense. I keep saying nonsense, and I hate when I repeat myself, but that's what it is. I could say bullshit because that's what it really is. If I'm being perfectly honest, it's just a bunch of bullshit, which most environmentalism is. I'm all for clean air and clean water, clean land. Don't litter. Take care of the land, but what we have is not just land management. This is it's actual communism. It's wealth redistribution through bullshit environmentalism. So anyhow, we'll get to Biden lying in a bit, but since we're talking about children, I'm going to play something that, how do I want to put it, angered me. I I wasn't even sure I was going to play this on the show tonight, but I feel like this kind of stuff needs seen. I just want to let you know that the girl in this video is 4 years old. Now, typically, I would not show a child who's 4 years old, but I don't have a way to blur it really. And it's all over the internet anyway. So this is a 4-year-old child. A 4-year-old child. I need to turn down my own volume because it's a little high. There we go.
If you want girl parts and you don't have them, you can do special surgery where they turn your penis inside out and there's a vagina inside.
Hey, Poker, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate it. For those of you who couldn't hear what that child said, no, we're not breaking Dax's rules. This child wasn't physically harmed in this video. What this child says is if you don't have a vagina, you can go to a special doctor who will turn your penis inside out, and there's a vagina inside. This is a 4-year-old. This is a 4-year-old. Why in the fuck is a 4-year-old thinking about that? Why do they know anything about it? Sorry, I tried to get away from my microphone for that yelling. Seriously, why does a 4-year-old have any concept of any of this shit? Keep it damn. Thank you for the nope sticker. Appreciate it. This is a 4-year-old. Every adult around this child should be investigated. Jesus fucking Christ. I saw this. I got very, very angry, as you might imagine. I can't imagine putting this on a 4-year-old. I can't imagine sitting around having a talk with a 4-year-old. Yes, I'm going to keep pointing that out. A 4-year-old about how you can turn your penis into a vagina. What kind of fucking sick person even thinks that that's an okay conversation for a 4-year-old? God damn. No, this is just progressive. This is just teaching them to be accepting of others. Bullshit. This is brainwashing nonsense. Why would you tell a 4-year-old that you could change sex? That's on adults. That's not a child. No 4-year-old is seriously out there going, I really think I'm in the wrong body. 4-year-olds think they're a cat. 4-year-olds think they're a car. 4-year-olds don't think, I probably have a vagina inside my penis. Yeah, every adult around this child should be investigated. And whoever it was that put that in their head needs to be in jail for a long time. People, could you please stop talking to preschoolers about penises and vaginas? Could you stop having that other than teaching them basic hygiene? And, don't let anybody touch that. Other than that, you really shouldn't be having any conversation with them about their genitals. And if you are a disgusting fuck and you belong on a list. You are a degenerate piece of shit. I don't want to mince any words here. Degenerate piece of shit. This is a 4-year-old, you disgusting fuck. Why is that thought even in their brain? The fuck are you letting them watch and talking to them about? She should be watching, or he, I'm not sure which, should be watching cartoons and playing with dolls and trucks. You need to be playing with Legos and cheering on their favorite Disney character. They shouldn't be worried about any of this shit. They should be watching Bluey. God damn. Could you leave the children alone? And this is where I get so pissed off. How come they suddenly started coming after trans people? This shit, that's why. I might be a little on edge. This is a good time to apologize for a mistake I made. I meant to do this at the beginning of the show. Shroom pointed out to me I made a mistake yesterday. I said that what are they called? False electors. I forget the name of them. When somebody is part of the Electoral College and they vote in a way that they're not supposed to, that it's illegal. And he pointed out to me that it's actually only illegal. It's either in 32 or 33 states. I read two different sources, and they were years apart, so it's very possible that one of the states changed. But between 32 and 33 are the only ones that have laws against it, and most of them, well, a lot of them, still don't even have punitive damage for it. It's just illegal, and in some of them, they'll still accept the vote. So, faithless electors, thank you. Faithless electors. But I just wanted to clear that up. And the original Shroom, thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. Anyhow, I want to move away from that fucking video because I'm angered and it's not something I can deal with right now. I thought I would be able to handle it a little bit better. Let's watch old Ronnie DeSantis once again just step on his dick for no reason. Ron, he should be doing a lot better than he is, but his campaign is just trash. Ron, what the fuck is wrong with you? And please stop wearing the powder blue ties. Get somebody buy this man a red tie. You should have a power tie on, man. It's just optics. You look like a bitch. You can't have a powder blue suit or powder blue tie while you're running for president. You look like a bitch. Get a red tie. Anyhow. So they're talking about whether or not he would drain the swamp, basically. And Laura Ingraham here with her new nose so that she doesn't look all freaky. She's going to ask him a question, and he's going to give just one of the worst answers that I think I've heard. Faithless says, I hate red ties. But that puts you in the minority when it comes to how people visually react to the way a candidate dresses. The power tie, the red tie, this is something that they've actually, studied. But anyway, all right, Ronnie, let's step on your dick, homie.
I think that if Trump were to win, that he wouldn't fire Wray or wouldn't try to reform the FBI. It seems like he has a personal interest in really doing that at this point, no?
Well, he had 3 years to fire Christopher Wray, and he didn't fire him.
All right. We're going to stop there. He has a lot more stupid shit to say. But, yes, Trump had 3 years to fire Christopher Wray. A lot of the shit we've seen from Christopher Wray, though, is from the end of his presidency. He could have fired him on the way out the door, I guess, sure. But a lot of the shit we've seen has come out since Trump left office. You can't put that necessarily on Trump unless you can point to a specific thing Wray was doing while Trump was president. Kevsar, thank you so much. Speaking of Disney, they fired Snow White from the upcoming movie. Dang it, Monk, I can only type so fast. Oh, you know what? We're going to talk about Disney and movies in a little while. We'll get back to movies and stuff. But yeah, did they really fire that chick? Because she's been running her mouth and pissing people off with the new one coming up. I don't know. Is that true? Did they really fire her? Will Snow White be replaced by a white girl? No. The fact that in the story, it's literally her skin is as white as snow. That's why they call her that. That is fucking meaningless. People are saying no. All right, fair enough. Or are you saying no, that they're not going to replace her with a white girl? Either way. Yeah, going back to this. Sorry. You can't point to Christopher Wray and say Trump could have fired him unless you say that there was something happening during that 3-year time period that you think Christopher Wray should have been fired for. Because this is going to come up with the rest of this, but I'm going to jump ahead. Much like the press has always been left, but Trump comes out and there's something about Trump where the press is like, fuck it, we're not even going to pretend to be unbiased. And this is all the way through the 2016 campaign. We're not even going to pretend to be unbiased anymore. And you see them just masks off, fuck Trump. 98% of his coverage in the 2016 election is negative. But there's no bias, guys. No bias. Almost all of the coverage is negative. No bias whatsoever. But you can't point that Trump did something to turn them all liberal. They were already liberal. It's just something about him made them stop pretending. And then Trump comes into office, and with the swamp, let's let Ron talk a little bit more.
And remember, I went to the rallies in 2016, Laura. You remember them. Lock her up about holding Hillary accountable. And then 2 weeks after the election, he said, never mind that I said that, and let her off the hook.
Well, Ronnie, I don't know if you know this, but as the president of the United States, he does not have the power to lock her up. He can say, hey, Justice Department, would you please look into this? Or what he could do is not give her any more attention, knowing she's not going to get indicted or jailed anyway. I mean, let's move on with things. Again, part of what you have to understand with Trump is New York politics. New York politics is nasty. It's fucking nasty. And those of you who haven't paid attention to it, you probably have no idea. It would probably make you cringe. And a lot of the locker up stuff, that's what it was. But he cannot go to the attorney general and say, lock that bitch up. It's not how it works. That's actually illegal. So you can say he said, never mind, forget I said that. But that's probably because at that point, if he did keep saying that and the Justice Department somehow did go after Hillary, they would have an immediate, hey, you screwed this up. This was a personal vendetta, not really a not really a criminal thing. So anyway.
And so I think if you look at, and I give him credit, even though we're competing for the great things he did do, but one of the things he did not do was drain the swamp. I mean, the swamp got worse in his 4 years, and you had people like Ray, you had people in power who were not getting the job done. You got to take very swift action, and you got to make it happen.
Now, look, I've criticized Donald Trump for not having a plan in order. And one of his biggest problems as president was that he relied on too many Washington insiders to tell him who to bring into different cabinet positions, because he's not part of the swamp himself. So he had to rely on them. But much like with the media, the swamp got swampier. They went from being, dirty little retards to just scum fuck bastards. And unless you can point to something Trump did specifically to make that happen, you can't really blame him for that, Ron. And there are optical concerns when it comes to firing these guys. Now, if Vivek, for some reason, got elected, he's already promised to get rid of 75%. And he's already promised we're going to have this threshold. You got to take a constitutional test. So if he got in there and fired a whole bunch of people, you couldn't go, oh, it was political, because it was a campaign promise. If Trump did that, if he gets in there and he just starts firing people and it wasn't part of his campaign promise, you saw this with who was the fucker before Ray, Comey. You saw it with the Comey fire. Like, oh, it was all political. It was just to shut him up about the crimes of Trump. No, he was a dirty shitbag. But again, as Mr. Schumer told us, if you fuck with the intelligence agency, they will fuck you back. And we saw that. So it's not like Trump turned them loose, right? It's not like he gave them new rules and that's what made them dirtier. What made them dirtier is that he challenged them. And yeah, he probably should have fired a lot more. But you're also talking about a first-term president who has not been part of the swamp this deep before and does not have the knowledge. And by the time he was set up for January 6th, it was way too late. So Ron's not exactly wrong that the swamp got worse, but you can't lay that blame at Trump. And this is an unforced error, Ron. It's an unforced error. Yeah, he'd probably fire him. He's got knowledge now that he didn't know then. So yeah, I could see him doing that too. But we're talking about what I would do, Laura, and this is what I would do. It's just an unforced error, man. And he keeps doing this. Look, I get it. You're running against Trump. Your numbers are in the shitter. There's one poll that has Christie ahead of him, which, by the way, I do not believe that poll. There's no fucking way Christie's polling that high. There's just no fucking way. But his polls are going down. His campaign has been just a fucking wreck. Fire that bitch that's running it for you, Ron. You should have done that when you reorganized. But what you should stop doing is going after Trump for shit he didn't do or that he wasn't responsible for. You want to go after Trump for something? Go after him for massive spending increases. There's a nice conservative red meat platform. We're getting word that Social Security is going to run out of money this year because we're spending so much goddamn money. Here you go, Ronnie. That's a good red meat issue for you. You have a 4-year-old telling us about their genitals and how they're a transformer. Vagina in disguise. This is one of your red meat issues. This has been big in your state. Talk about that more. Stop trying to take Trump head on. That's not how you do this. All you're doing is pissing off Trump voters by saying stupid shit. God damn. And I am not a Trump supporter here, guys. This is just politics. This is just politics. And he keeps just stepping in shit because he can't keep his goddamn mouth closed about things. He is taking it personal at this point. And he's trying to, but Trump did this. Make it something Trump actually did. Because the swamp got worse. The swamp didn't get worse. There wasn't much change in the swamp. And you can make that argument that he didn't change enough of the swamp. But why? Well, look what happened when he did with some of it. Even some of his own people were like, you can't do this, Mr. President. Comey, that fucking dirty piece of shit, you can't fire him because he's a rhino. I don't think he's a rhino. I think rhino's a term that gets thrown around too much. I think he's trying to play into the other side. Here's what you have going on. I think the majority of the other candidates, because there's like 13 candidates right now. I think they're all, and this is a mistake they're making. They're running against each other with Trump as somebody else. They're already conceding that Trump is going to hold this massive amount of the party. The only one I haven't seen doing that is Vivek, and I'd have to see more because maybe he's done it too. But they're running for second place right now. Knock out all the other ones, get into second place, and then they want to take on Trump. That's not how you do it. You have to build yourself. You're running for first place the whole time. You don't want to run for second place because you know what happens when you run for second place? You're going to get second place or below. And I think all of these guys, the people who are telling them to do this, they're just stupid. We got to get those votes away from DeSantis. We got to get that one vote away from Christie. No, you should be building a coalition. You don't want to necessarily be dragging everybody else down. It's fine to take shots at them, of course, but you need to be building yourself up as the front. You need to be Trump. I'm going to win this thing. I'm going to win it all. I saw Vivek the other day. He goes, if I win this, if I win it, when I win it, where's your confidence, homie? Yeah, you got to be confident. You got to give people something to vote for. And a lot of the times it's not even red meat issues. You know, we see this a lot where like, oh, they didn't give any issue. If you look at most campaigns, there's no issues or they're barely mentioned. What matters is the look of the candidate, the sound of the candidate, the confidence of the candidate, and that draws people in. So they're stepping on themselves over and over, and it's kind of funny to watch, actually. What else do I have on the docket for this evening before we get to the we are going to talk about movies, guys, a little bit later. I don't want to talk about that case because I haven't looked into it. Let's talk about the Biden stuff. That is in the title. It only seems right to actually deal with it. Hang on one moment. I got to stop this thing. There we go. I forgot to put this one in the archive, so if I break up a little bit, I apologize. Biden retells false stories about his dad, birth, wealth, Amtrak, and the national debt. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different lies he told in one speech. Oh, fuck. President Biden on Tuesday entertained a Milwaukee audience with debunked anecdotes about circumstances of his birth, his father's education, his personal wealth, his interactions with an Amtrak conductor, and his impact on the national debt. Biden told listeners at an electrical manufacturing facility that ongoing expansion of electric car charging stations was similar to his grandfather, Joseph H. Biden, work building gas stations. My grandpa, Biden, died very young. He died in the hospital. I was born in 6 days before I was there. I wish I had video of this. I was born in 6 days before I was there. That's an actual quote. And then he goes on to say, before I was born. All right. Biden's grandfather actually died September 26, 1941 in Baltimore, Maryland. More than a year before his birth on November 20th of 42 in Scranton. This motherfucker cannot help but lie. If this was Donald Trump, fuck that. If this was any Republican candidate, they'd be like, look at this lying bastard. No one else is talking about it. The New York Post is. That's it. A newspaper that many people regard as a tabloid. They're the only ones that have the balls to go out there and talk about what a fucking lying piece of shit this guy is. They might make a mention, but otherwise, yeah. All right, moving along. The president invoked his father, Joseph R. Biden Sr., when talking about the dignity of work. My dad was a high school educated guy who was well-read and worked like hell, and he didn't have a chance to go to college. Oh, poor elderly Joe. The fat man, thank you so much. Hi, late to the party. What's up with Trump going to jail? So where's Jack the pet cat? Or any new crimes against food that you have committed, homie? All right, let's see. Answering those in order. They want Trump to go to jail. He probably won't. Where's Jack? No idea. New crimes against food. I put veggie dip on a hot dog earlier. I hadn't done that before. It's good. It's a veggie dip that tastes very much like French onion, which I've dipped in French onion before. So anyhow, poor Joseph R. Sr. was not allowed. He didn't get a chance to go to college. President's father actually attended the prestigious Johns Hopkins University for 1 year, the New York Daily Record reported in 2020, citing census records and a 1941 wedding announcement in the Scranton Tribune. He said, attended Johns Hopkins University. The White House did not respond to the Post's request for comment Tuesday. All right, so we're up to 2 lies. His granddaddy died just 6 days before he was born, and his daddy never got a chance to go to college, despite the fact his dad went to Johns Hopkins. This isn't, Scranton Community College. This is Johns Hopkins University. This is a prestigious university. My dad didn't even go to college, man. What? He said more than he did about Maui. He is not talking about Maui at all. No. There's look, he has no comment on Maui. Fucking piece of shit. All right, where are we? Biden proceeded to say that he was listed as the poorest man in Congress for 36 years. True. This is a claim he's made many, many times. It's unclear if Biden, who moved into a 10,000 square foot former DuPont family mansion in 1974, 1 year after joining the Senate, ever actually was declared the poorest man in Congress. Quote, my wife one day said, did you read the paper today? And I was up campaigning for a guy named Pat Leahy in Vermont. And I said, no, honey, I didn't see the Wilmington paper. And she said, headline, above the fold. Only a politician's wife would say that. Biden, poorest man in Congress. Is that true? Like I was cheating on her or something, Biden said. PolitiFact reported in 2019 that Biden's campaign defended a prior version of the story by pointing to the Center for Responsive Politic rankings of members of Congress, which go back to 2004, and show that other lawmakers were estimated to be poorer than Biden. In 2008, his final years as senator, Biden was ranked 538th out of 575 federal officials, with an estimated net worth of between minus $360,000 and $409,000. They're really good with their estimates. Almost $1 million in there. Members of both chambers of Congress ranked lower than him that year. So just another lie. Poker, thank you. Put some respect on Scranton, Dunder Mifflin. No, that just makes me say worse. Because while I like some of The Office, they should have stopped it by season 5. And after that, it just got unwatchable. Biden also sought to underscore his love for passenger rail by telling, for at least the 9th time as president, a story involving former Amtrak conductor Angelo Negri, who retired from Amtrak in 92 and died in 2014. As he has done in prior tellings, the president impersonated Negri's Italian-American accent. That's right. He went all racist on it. Fat Man, thank you. So veggie dogs with veggie dip? Sorry, not offended. Fair enough. That's just the only thing I've done. Yeah. True story, I swear to God. Wait, where are we? The fake Italian accent. With him saying, Joey, baby, while complaining about a report that Biden had flown 1 million miles on Air Force jets. True story, I swear to God, Biden said Tuesday while telling the tale, which was rated false in 2021 by CNN Facts First journalist Daniel Dale. Even CNN is like, nah, that's not true. Noted that Biden didn't reach 1 million miles aboard Air Force Two until September 2015, well after Negri's retirement and death. In the latest version, Biden acted as if Negri might still be alive, expressing concern that the story would cause him trouble. I'm getting on a train to go home to see my mom, who was sick and hospice at my home. And this guy, I won't mention his name because we're going to get him in trouble, Biden said. You're going to get the dead guy in trouble. Guy's been dead for almost a decade. But Biden's going to get him in trouble by telling this story. But one of the senior guys at Amtrak, who I rode with all the time, comes over to me and goes, Joey, baby, grabs my cheeks. Swear to God, I thought they were going to shoot him. And I said, no. He's talking about the Secret Service. Thought the Secret Service was going to shoot this thing because he's claiming that as president, he was riding Amtrak. I said, what's the matter, Angie? He said, we just read this thing about over 1 million miles on Air Force planes. I can't do an Italian accent, but I'm probably doing it better than Biden did. He said, hell, you know how many miles you've traveled on Amtrak? I said, no, Ange, I don't know. He said, we just had dinner up in Newark. You've traveled on average 17 days a year round trip, 300 miles a day, 36 years. That's 1,285,000 miles. I don't want to hear no more about the Air Force. Biden concluded the story with true story, swear to God. I think Biden thinks as long as he tells a lie and then just at the end of it says, it's true, then that makes it actually true. And we can't even blame this one on his dementia because he's been telling these lies his entire career. Seriously, his entire career. Monkey talking like worst casting of Mario movie, Luigi. Yeah, not too bad, was it? It is amazing to me that the Washington Post, remember they were keeping that list of lies that Donald Trump told. Well, Biden gets into office and they're like, yeah, we're not going to keep a list of the presidential lies anymore because we're just not gonna. And they do it right as a guy who is known to have lied his whole goddamn life becomes president. Suddenly they're not counting the lies anymore. Jack, my friend, what's up?
It's a me, a Mario.
me.
I'm fine. How are you?
Oh man, I'm wonderful. As always. Happy to be alive, my friend. Happy to be alive.
Nice to be noticed. The back room is kind of cold and scary.
I didn't get a notice. I don't know if they turned that off or if there's a setting I need to check.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I didn't hear anything.
You just didn't want me interrupting the Italian accent.
Hey, it was a good accent.
Not if Biden did it. It's not. No.
It was. I guarantee it was better than Biden's.
I'm shocked that he didn't say the reason that he's like, it's true, that it's totally true. It's because Italians can't do math.
Yeah.
Remember they had all those Roman numerals? Who uses that shit?
All right. Was there another lie from this one? I think we covered all of them.
By the way, nice use of the word "hooskow." You don't see
thank
that
you.
very often.
Yeah, I like the term "hooskow." I don't think it gets used enough. Poker, thank you so much. Who says Leighton gay? No, Leighton straight.
Always on time. Haha.
Alan, thank you so much. Who says hello, monkey? Hello, sir. Hope you're well.
See, it was written into the script that I wasn't. I was making a surprise entrance.
Yes.
See, that's how that's
a dramatic entrance.
Yeah, like when the wacky neighbor comes over to visit, everybody
Indeed.
claps. Yay!
The only thing I want to point out the rest of this article real quick, Jack, is it points out a lot of the lies we've told that that we pointed out that Biden has told throughout the years. They actually skipped the lie about his 3 degrees, but they do point out that he had to drop out of his first presidential race because of plagiarism. And how he took another man's speech and changed it to make it sound like his family were coal miners.
Puerto Rican coal miners?
Puerto Rican coal miners.
Who's watched gay men make it out?
That stood up for black people in a neighborhood where no black people were. So yeah. Oh, I think they added it. It does have the graduated with 3 degrees now. Awesome. This man is a fucking liar, and he's gotten away with it. And this is where I say there's campaign interference, where the press was clearly colluding with the Biden campaign. They spend 4 years just Trump's a liar, Trump's a liar, Trump's a liar, and along comes liar number 1, and they don't repeat any of his fucking lies. None of them. Steele, thank you. Don't forget you're not funny. Yeah, I was told that today. I was told I wasn't funny, Jack.
Who said that anyway? I saw you your poll on it.
One of my nut huggers.
I voted that you are funny.
I am funny. I'm objectively funny. And
that's science, man. The science is settled.
I only did it as a joke to fuck with them. My opinion of whether or not I'm funny is not based on whether or not other people think I'm funny.
No, because the science is settled. You're funny.
I'm funny. I know I'm funny.
I mean, Al Gore was on that case 20 years ago, I'm sure.
My wife has looked at me before and said, "You think you're funny, don't you?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course.
I know I'm funny.
I'm absolutely funny." So, yeah, sometimes my nut huggers, they get a little overzealous.
Oh, have they ever really done any self-analysis? Like questioning your comedic value is a bit desperate. Kind of sad too.
It is, and I should just ignore it, but I mean, for comedy value, I have to engage it from time to time. I can't help myself, Jack. It's a compulsion to make stupid people look dumber. It's not my fault. I was born this way. It's true. Okay, what else we got on the docket tonight? Go ahead, Jack.
Real quick. Thank you, Alan, who says, "Hello, Jack. Hey, Alan. Hope you're doing well." And thank you, Frosted. Hearing Biden tell a story about his life is like listening to Kaiser Soze tell you about a crime, except when you turn around and look at the corkboard, you realize that he was taking details from a crayon drawing your retarded 6-year-old made.
Yeah.
And there was a purple monster, see? Nice reference, though, Frost. Thank you.
All right, I need to stop that. We're not going to read much of this article. It just goes to things we've been talking about a little bit on the show so far, Jack, and actually goes to what I was just saying a moment ago. Media begins shoring up Biden's network flank. Networks are staffing up their ranks of former Biden communication officials at a furious pace. See, guys, this is the real collusion. Look, stolen election, maybe, but I'm at this point, Jack. There's nothing we can do about that other than to try to fix the system so that it doesn't happen again, right? This has been going on and keeps going on and going on and going on, and it's dirty as shit. You have the media basically being an arm of the DNC, literally just hiring everybody they can from the Biden administration to cover them in an election that's coming up.
Oh, it's just like the alphabet agencies weaseling their way into social media.
Yeah. Well, they've been hiring from let's call them Democratic sources as well. But don't pay any attention to that. It's not worth it. The fat man, thanks so much. He may be funny, but not scary at all, Mr. Veggie Tale. Veggie Tales was a fun show. It's one of those things you have to be kind of biblically inclined to enjoy, but yeah, they were fun.
Did Doug TenNapel create that?
Who?
Doug TenNapel. He's a comic book guy. Also did Earthworm Jim.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. Remember that video game, Earthworm Jim?
Oh yeah. I never played it, but I know of it. Yeah. Members of the presidential administration taking roles with news networks isn't a particularly new phenomenon. Former Bush administration Secretary Dana Perino has fostered a successful career on Fox News. Former Clinton advisor and White House communications director George Stephanopoulos, what a fucked up name, took on a prominent role as the face of ABC News. When it comes to Biden's presidency, however, lines have been blurred between official presidential messaging coming from the briefing room and networks who are hiring former Biden officials for prominent roles as he gears up for re-election. Networks are staffing up their ranks of Biden communication officials at a furious pace. And they named the ones who have, but they're just setting it up again. Like, here you go, guys. We're going to hire the Biden folk. Don't worry, we'll be unbiased. We'll be completely unbiased. But we're going to let the spokespeople for the White House come tell you the news. That seem ridiculous to you, Jack?
Yeah, but it's not shocking. I mean, they are good public speakers sometimes.
But you would think at least you want some separation from this. You don't want to do it. I mean, the guy's still in office and he's running again.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we're gonna hire his mouthpieces to be our news folks. They're not. This is what I was talking about earlier, guys, where they just took the mask off. They've always been leftist, but they're not even pretending anymore. They're not even pretending to be biased. So it's just like, fuck it. Hire the communication staff of the fucking White House to come tell people the news. It's angering me, Jack. But, however, as angering as that is to me, I have some fun news too regarding the media. And, Oh yeah. CNN reveals major overhaul in sweeping bid to lift their rankings.
Oh yeah, are they gonna just double down and become an arm of the FBI?
They've just moved around a whole bunch of anchors. They're changing their lineup, hoping that does something. CNN, which continues to get pummeled in the ratings, revealed sweeping changes to its weekly lineup that will see new faces in key slots and launches new weekend show for veteran anchors Chris Wallace and Christina Amapanor. I don't know how you say her last name. I think I was close.
Amanpour, yeah.
Amanpour. There we go. There's lots of changes. I'll throw this into the chat if you guys want to read it yourself. What interests me is down here. According to Nielsen, in July, CNN's total viewers accounted to 470,000 on average in the important advertised coveted demographic of viewers between 25 and 54. CNN's viewership cratered to 86,000, making its lowest tally in 23 years. The coveted 25 to 54 slot, 86,000 is all they're getting. This is what pays the bills. This is what you set your advertising rates based on. And they're not even pulling 100K.
That's sad, man.
Yeah. And they think putting Chris Wallace somewhere is going to fix that. If you just put Chris Wallace in the right time slot, that'll fix it. Probably not. Probably not. And most of the people who respond to this, because they talked to unnamed insiders, Jack, they all said, yeah, it's not going to do shit. The problem with CNN is management, and they should have let the other guy stay because he was doing the right thing. He was getting rid of people who needed to be getting rid of. CNN's only hope is to actually become the center ground. You got Fox on the right, you have MSNBC on the left, and they're competing with MSNBC while trying to pretend that they're, middle ground. You can't do that. The people who want that fanatical MSNBC shit are already watching MSNBC. That's what they're already tuning into. And if you're not going to go further left than them to try to steal their audience, the only way left to go is more towards the center. They need to fire everyone and start over. They really do. They need to hire people who actually can pretend to be unbiased. They picked up Chris Wallace after Chris Wallace did the debate for Joe Biden.
But it was a debate.
Talk about bad optics, man.
Yeah.
Especially when news is supposed to be. And they love to pretend that, news is objective. Bullshit. Let's see. Already did that. Don't care about that. Did that. Oh, this one's an interesting one. Sage Steele. I'm going to be honest. I don't know who this chick is. I've never heard of her before. She used to work at ESPN. And she got in trouble, Jack, because she, even though she had took the COVID jab, she said she understood why people wouldn't.
Oh my God, that monster! Although she has a great private detective name, Sage Steele. Tonight,
she really does. Where is her actual comments in here?
Could Sage find the killer before her mother does?
She said that while she respected everyone's decision to get vaccinated, she believed that a corporate mandate was sick and scary to me in many ways. She also indicated that she did not want to get vaccinated, but did so to keep her job and support her family, according to her lawsuit. So she sues ESPN. Yeah, she sues ESPN, and they just settled the case.
Probably a smart move on their part.
They had offered her $250,000 and she turned it down. And then there was this settlement, which the actual amount that she gets for this one is kept quiet. But what she said, and what I found interesting about this, I don't care about that, is that she's not going to go back and work for another corporate entity. She's going to take the Megyn Kelly model. She's going to streaming, Jack.
Well, that's just a smart thing to do at this point. And now she's got the money to do it.
Yeah. Well, we just got more competition. Thanks. She got paid. Look, if she turned down $250,000 and they came back with another offer where they're not going to release the details, she got paid well. She got paid very well.
She probably got 2 or 3 mil. So
hopefully
that's after lawyers' fees.
I could even see settling with her on this one for $1 million and her going for it, because that's a nice chunk of change if she already has some in the bank and she's going. she's confident in herself to go start her new business.
Yeah.
Um,
And she, if she's smart, she does her own web streaming thing, and she gets Augustana's song "Steal Your Heart" as her theme song. So yeah, there you go. There's her intro. Gonna steal your heart. Then she's on the screen, and then she does a private detective show with her sassy mother.
I wish the woman well. I don't know much about her, but anybody who's rejecting the corporate bullshit, the corporate gatekeeping on news and stuff, good for her. Especially with her she was taken off the air for a while for those comments. Ooh. Which, by the way, she didn't even make on her own show. She was on a podcast where she said this.
A podcast probably like 10 people listen to.
And yeah, they're like, how dare you say that you don't believe corporations should be forcing people to get vaccinated?
Now suffer the consequences. There is no cancel culture.
None at all. None at all.
Yeah, I hope she does well. If she's even a halfway decent presenter, she's probably already got some kind of loyal audience. So get her going.
Oh, Faithless asks what she's suing for. She's suing for being wrongfully punished for having an opinion. And again, she even took the jab, but how dare she tell people she only took it because she had to feed her family? That's why a lot of people took it.
Yeah.
They were forced to. You weren't forced to. Yeah, you were. Stop saying that stupid shit. You didn't have to do it. No, you could have lived under a bridge, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. That they want to backpedal now and pretend they weren't effectively blackmailing people into doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, we didn't do that. We're not total authoritarian shitbags. No, that's a righty thing.
I need to correct you. It's not blackmail, it's extortion.
Oh, fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah. All right.
So those
we need to get
pictures of me are cool, right?
What's that?
They're not going to release those pictures. They got me getting naked, getting the jab at a sex party, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. Cool.
All right. I want to do your stories, and we're gonna please don't add any more.
Okay.
Because we have a discussion we're gonna have at the end of the show about movies.
Oh.
And yeah, I need to leave time for that. All righty. Oh God, California School District. That doesn't even sound right. Oh, my California School District approves outing trans kids to parents. Pink news. That sounds like one of their headlines. Yeah. You mean telling the parents what the children are doing? A school district in southwestern California has voted to out trans and gender nonconforming pupils to their parents. The Murrieta Valley School Board passed the proposal by a vote of 3-2 on Thursday, August 10th, despite advice from the district attorney that the policy could put them on dodgy legal grounds. For what? For what?
For picking on trans kids, the most sacred of all trans people.
They're going to sue me for telling my parents what I was up to as a child.
Oh, no, it's either violating HIPAA or something or other.
Yeah, good luck. The proposal submitted by the board president, Paul F. Diffley III, and clerk Nicholas Pardue will require school officials to notify parents if pupils use a name, pronouns, or toilets which do not align with the sex they were assigned at birth. Yeah, it seems like pretty important information for a parent to have. It's not outing the children, it's letting parents know what's going on with their kid. I don't know why that's so hard for these people to understand.
Billy, why are you changing your gender? But Dad, I just want to see boobies in the locker room. Oh, okay.
Carry on. Sally, that's what it was. That's what you want to be called. Go check out them boobies, Sally. The board meeting was reportedly long and contentious, with members of the public cheering and jeering as the policy was passed. Supporters of the policy were seen holding signs which read, "Protect family bonds," while opponents wore rainbow-colored clothing. Y'all do know there's other clothes, right?
No. It's a rainbow of fruit flavors.
Why y'all dressed like Mork?
Well, he only had rainbow suspenders, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they get all their clothes from like the Fruit Stripe gum catalog.
Yeah,
Do they still make that?
I don't know,
It was
but I
really
feel like
good gum.
Tricks should put out a line of clothing.
Oh, tricks are for kids.
Tricks trans clothing for kids. I mean, it writes itself.
That's true.
They would be rainbow colored. They're tricking people by pretending to be what they're not.
Yeah,
and of course,
and adults would constantly be after them. People be like, "Tricks are for kids. Leave them alone.
Leave them alone." All right,
School teachers would all be wearing bunny costumes. Going, "Hey, Billy."
Mariana Day Bauer, a parent of 5 children in the school district, told the Los Angeles Times that people do not choose to be trans; they just are. Some people don't choose to be trans. A whole lot of them, about 19.9% do. So stop.
Yeah, this pretending thing, pretending that there aren't a lot of trenders, like the majority of them aren't trenders, is really insulting to actual trans people. Oh, 1 second.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Keldrick. Good. The parents need to know when their children are mentally unstable. You are being indoctrinated by the commie cult of weirdos.
School may be the one and only affirming space for these transgender youth. Shut up. Why are we affirming delusion? Can somebody explain that to me?
Because it makes pedophiles, gives pedophiles a reason and an excuse to be near children, and they can use this as a cover.
St. Fugi says Fruity Pebbles. I mean, yeah, but Bam Bam is a little too on the nose for what the children are going to face from the adults in this situation. You got to pretend that the rabbit can't catch them. Anyhow, look, I make myself laugh. That's all that's important. All right.
Well, they might be after your Lucky Charms, if you know what I'm saying.
They're definitely after their Lucky Charms. There's a little too much. Anyway, lawyer linked to Steele dossier is working for House Dems to overturn results of Iowa election. Oh, wait, that's election interference. You got to go to jail in Georgia now. Isn't that how it works?
I think so.
House Democrats have hired Mark Elias, the election lawyer linked to the infamous Steele dossier, to help in their bid to overturn the results of an Iowa House race won by a Republican incumbent. According to Politico, the Democrat Congressional Campaign Committee, the DCCC, is paying Elias to represent the campaign of Rita Hart, a Democrat who lost by 6 votes to Representative Marionette Miller Marks. Pick a last name and go with it. Hart has appealed to Congress to adjudicate the outcome of their election after state officials declared Miller Marks, pick a last name, the winner. Hart claims the Iowa official failed to count 22 ballots that would have swayed the election. Lady, you are just itching for a federal charge here.
Nothing to see here.
You can't be talking like this.
Oh, it's okay when the commies do it.
House Democrats will have significant control over the appeal process, raising concern among Republicans that the process will be rigged against them. You know, there is one thing. Sorry, I got to just an aside here. Ed Krasenstein today came out and said that there's a problem with Donald Trump referring to people who he thinks rigged the election as riggers. He's like, don't you see what they're doing there, right? Riggers. Ed Krasenstein, from the bottom of my heart, you're a fucking retard, man. And your race baiting bullshit, go fuck yourself. Anyway, sorry. The House Administration Committee, which is chaired by Representative Zoe Lofgren, a close ally of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, she's not House Speaker anymore, will hear part of Hart's appeal. The entire House will have to vote to overturn the results of the contest. Oh, so it's not going to be overturned.
by referring to Nancy Pelosi as the by the way, this article's really old, so Nancy was the speaker then. I just brought this up because I should preface this. This guy is one of the lawyers from the Steele dossier, and what's he doing? He's working to overturn the results of an election.
Indeed.
I just thought it was disgusting.
It is disgusting.
Because the hypocrisy is on full display all the time, and we just ignore it. But when a Republican does it, or somebody that just don't like, it's full bore against them to use the entire system as a weapon. Sorry, we didn't need to go over the whole article. I just wanted to kind of point out the hypocrisy
no, it's fine.
Here.
Yeah, it said that's from 2021. So she was still speaker. She's not now, so I wasn't wrong.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, you're fine. And I don't know how that turned out. I don't know because that was when the House was still run by them. So she might have got her way. I have no idea though. Anyhow,
yeah, I just wanted to point out the absolute hypocrisy, and of course, nobody in the media is going to call this shit out.
Well, no, I mean they're even defending the fact that fat bitch from Georgia was calling her election a sham.
Yeah,
gap tooth Fat Albert.
Yeah, Stacey Abrams.
Yeah. All right, moving along. Florida woman escapes after being held captive in a dog cage. 4 arrested. That guy kind of looks like Prince.
Like a really evil Prince.
Well, yeah. An unnamed woman in Florida is reportedly in her 40s, was allegedly held captive in a dog cage before escaping and knocking on multiple doors asking neighbors for help. You had to... Okay. I just want to stop right there. Because that makes it sound like she had to ask multiple people for help. Did the first person be like, nah, bitch, go back home to your cage?
It might have been like, I'm not getting involved. You see a naked white woman in some neighborhoods running up to doors? You ain't answering that door. No, there's meth involved. Fuck that. I'm not getting involved.
The incident took place in Orange County, Florida, where she was finally able to escape and get further assistance from neighbors on Saturday. 4 suspects in connection with the abduction were later detained. You guys are going to prison for a long fucking time.
Right?
Suspects were identified as 37-year-old Monica Latrice Reed, whatever. 19-year-old, 19. You better roll, man, because otherwise you are going to jail for life. You're 19.
Yeah.
Take that 20-year sentence,
scary jail.
19-year-old Damon Andrew Trump, 21-year-old Kevin Rudolph Holmes, and 39-year-old Cortez Marinette. I don't care. Bernard Jackson. Why do you have 2 last names? It's not even hyphenated. I hate people with 2 last names. According to the arrest affidavit, the woman was taken in an attempt to get information out of her regarding a potential stolen item. Her wrists, feet, and mouth were taped, and how are you getting information from her if you taped her mouth?
Yeah,
and she was placed in a dog
item.
What's that?
And a potential stolen item? You don't even know?
Well, it was probably stolen, and they were blaming her, and they don't actually know who had it.
Nah, they were high and gave it away, and they forgot.
Anyway, she was placed in a dog cage inside a shed and behind a home near Barnett Place. I don't care where. The Orange County Sheriff arrested the 4 suspects who are all currently facing charges of armed kidnapping and false imprisonment with a weapon. One of the alleged abductors, Reed, is also charged with aggravated violence with a handgun for pistol whipping the victim. Wow. Why is this ad just growing on my screen?
It's an ad erection,
I guess.
If it stays like that for more than 4 hours, you're supposed to call the company.
Those people are going to prison for a long, long time. Good job. I hope whatever you thought was stolen is worth, the rest of your fucking life. Kidnapping is not a minor charge, Jack.
No, not at all. You'll get more time for kidnapping than murder in a lot of cases.
Yeah. And Mr. beating them with a gun, and you had a gun and used it, even if you didn't fire it, in the commission of another felony.
Yeah, that's enjoy your extra 10-year sentence.
Dumbasses. I hope the girl's all right. I don't know what all happened in it, but I hope that's horrible. You can't treat people like that.
No.
I know I'm coming out all big and bold against kidnapping, but
that's a bold thing.
Kidnap. I know. It's a very brave stance of me to take. Guys, don't kidnap. A little Phil DeFranco moment there, but I really do. I hope she's okay.
Phobia.
That is, I can't even imagine, man. They threw in a dog cage in a fucking shed out back.
Yeah.
You have no regard. That's just fucking horrible. And I'm glad she got out because there's no telling what they would have done to her after that.
Oh, probably a lot of rape and murder, not necessarily in that order.
I was going to say, you got 3 males there and duct tape.
Yeah, a dog cage.
She was going to end up on a porn site she didn't want to be on with just holes that are unnaturally large.
Yeah.
Damn it, it's doing it on this story too. What the fuck is that? I've never had this problem with this site before. What the hell?
Oh. Oh, no.
Did they change something over there?
They
must have. Lesbian speed dating night shut down for transphobia after limiting event to adult human females. You mean they had a lesbian night for lesbians?
Monsters, right?
How dare they?
I know.
A London lesbian speed dating event has been shut down amid accusations of transphobia after organizers limited the event to adult human females. I would just like to point out those are the only people who can be lesbians.
Fact?
That's just fact. A weekly speed dating event for lesbians in the Bloomsbury district of London has become a target of woke activists after discovering that it prohibited biological males from attending the event. They don't like penis. When are you people going to get this through your fucking heads?
The lesbian erasure continues.
Get a dictionary and look up lesbian. They don't like penis. They don't like testicles. They don't want them around them. They like vagina. You don't have one. And a neo-vagina doesn't count. They like the real thing. They don't like
hot dogs?
No.
Clam.
They like tacos, man.
Yeah, they should have called it a clam bake.
Speaking to the Mail on Sunday, the founder of the speed dating event, Jenny Watson, said that she was forced to enact a ban on transgender people from attending last year after a man came to the pub wearing a purple latex costume while having an erection. No. That's not an erection. It's a giant clitoris or clitoris, depending on which way you say it. It's a giant fun bump, Jack.
And she was very wet.
With a mutated urethra that runs through it instead of being below it.
Yes, and sometimes it shoots out this this infection that it gets.
Baby batter?
Yeah.
Another time, a trans woman came into the female toilet and pushed their body at a woman who was upset and told me after, "You got me to thinking that this isn't fair on women." It's not. This isn't you know what? I'm done reading it. Because I'm just gonna rage.
My job here is done.
I'm not exactly on the woke side. I just think people should be left the fuck alone most of the time, Jack. But this is an instance of this is an event for lesbians. Lesbians are women who are attracted to other women. And no, they're not attracted to other people who look like women until you take off their pants and there's a giant cock and balls there. They are interested in the vagina. It's very much the same way straight men are interested in vagina. This nonsense that a guy can throw on a wig, put on a fucking dress, and be like, I'm a lesbian, is fucking stupid, and it needs to stop. Because this is what we always see with this bullshit, like, if you won't date me, you're transphobic. It's just a bunch of guys who want to insert their penis into women who don't want it. And this comes from the crowd of people who have been telling us forever that you got to stop pushing women into this shit. But for some reason, when the guy has a dress on, it's perfectly acceptable to go, you have to take the dick. Why is that okay? It's not transphobic. You're just not a lesbian, for fuck's sake. You're a dude. And if you're a dude in a dress and you like vagina, you're a straight man in a dress. It doesn't change because you put on a fucking dress. And if you mutilated your penis, you are a man with a mutilated penis in a dress. Period. End of story. You're not a lesbian. You literally do not qualify. Fuck. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. What were you saying? Something, Monkey?
Nah. Sick of this nonsense, man. Why are you putting that on women? Why are you putting that on women? Why are you forcing them into penis and vagina sex when they're not interested in it?
Because these people are parasites that are hopping trends, and they're using the trans community as a disguise. They're like sinister chameleons.
They're sexual deviants is what they are.
Yeah, they'll use whatever is available to them to get closer to their target. And right now it's the trans community. Before, it was the priesthood or whatever. But yeah, they're sort of like the lizard people from V. They're infiltrators. They'll look like you. They'll look like people and they sneak their way in to engage in some sort of degeneracy. And once they've destroyed the trans community, they'll move on to something else. These trend hoppers are very, very dangerous people. And there's so many of them are pedos. It's pretty disgusting.
Fugi says, Riley Dennis told me otherwise. And as I told Riley when he said, I'm so gay. No, you're not. You're a dude who likes vagina. That makes you straight. Throw on whatever fucking outfit you want. Have whatever surgery you want. You're still a straight man. You don't have to like it. It's just true. I'm so gay. No, you're not. Stop it. Yeah, it's so weird how desperately they want to be gay. You're not. You like women. That makes you straight. You're a straight guy in a dress who likes women. You're a cross-dresser. That's what you are.
Well, we never should get rid of that category because it's a totally different thing than being trans.
Yep.
You don't have dysphoria. You're just a cross-dresser. At best. At worst, you're an infiltrator that's trying to touch kids at like drag shows and shit like that.
At the beginning of Dress to Kill, or it's near the beginning of Dress to Kill is a comedy show that was done by Eddie Izzard. It's one of the greatest stand-ups ever done, in my opinion. And he talks about transvestites. He's like, most transvestites fancy women. That means like them. That's British terminology. Because they do. They just like to dress like women, but they're still interested in women. They're heterosexual men. Now, something happened to Eddie between then and now, and he looks like I don't even know how to describe him.
You remember the puppet MITAM?
Yes.
That's Eddie Izzard now, only slightly fatter.
But he was right at the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because that's what cross-dressing was. That's what transvestites were. It's a straight dude who likes dressing up as a woman, but still wants to bang women.
Yeah, it was just a kink.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't give a shit what you do at your house.
Now it's become, this is how you have to see me all the time. I'm actually a woman. Shut up, you fat, old, bald piece of shit. You're a degenerate. That's what you are. Keep your kink at home, and nobody will have to worry about this shit.
I don't think dragging me into that was necessary.
And and leave the lesbians alone. They don't want you. Comrade Kitty, thank you. For people to say patriarchy, they seem to not think men can't lie and say they are women. It is amazing watching this stuff happen. Watching women, the party of women. Remember that shit? That was 2018. We're 5 years removed from the party of women. And now it's like, fuck you, bitches. You got to have the dicks around.
Yeah.
And now, thankfully, they've finally started fighting back on the sporting front. And a lot of these competitions, they've gone back to women-only categories. They have the women-only category, and then the men's category has been changed to open. They're doing this overseas. And hopefully it catches on here. Let the women compete against other women. And if you were born with a schlong, join. You can still be a woman all you want, but you go in the open category. But that makes me think that I'm not a woman. Well, I mean, sorry. Are you getting a good tingle from that bicycle seat? No? Then you're not a woman. And don't lie, women. We know why you like riding bikes.
And horses.
And anything that moves. And motorcycles. We like riding motorcycles because they're cool. Women like riding motorcycles because they vibrate.
Yeah. Let's not forget the spin cycle on the washer either.
Spin cycle on the white washer. That's a oldie but goodie. All right, man. Let's do this. Let me find the article real fast. And I say real fast because I did have it brought up and then I closed it like I normally do, so I have to kill time. Now, we're not actually going to read the article. We're just going to look at the screenshot of the cover. It says this: Disney movie losses blamed on tired franchises like Indiana Jones, too many superhero movies, and bloated blockbuster budgets.
I disagree with everything.
Wrong. Thank you. I disagree with all this shit. So let's start with Indiana. Well, we'll save Indiana Jones because that's the one that got. I had a big argument, and we'll deal with that. Let's start with the superhero movies.
Okay.
Many superhero movies have sucked or have done shitty at the box office. That's undeniable.
Yeah.
But
the more recent ones, mostly.
Of the more recent ones, Jack, after Endgame, we're going after Endgame. What superhero movie did the best? Do you know?
After Endgame?
Yeah.
Spider-Man No Way Home.
Spider-Man No Way Home. Why is that, Jack?
Because it didn't have ham-fisted messaging wedged into it.
I think you could say that's part of it, but that's not what I would go with.
Oh. Was it because there was a man leading it?
It's because Spider-Man is an A-list comic character.
Oh, well, I guess. He's no Captain Marvel, though. Just look at the sales. No, don't look at the sales.
You have him, and then you have the Batman, which did really well. Which is another A-list comic character. And then if you look at the ones that were doing poorly, you have ones like Black Adam. You have Shang-Chi, or however the fuck you say that.
Yeah.
The Eternals. You have all of these C and D list characters that nobody gives a fuck except the most nerdy of comic nerd. No offense, my friend.
Yeah, nobody cared about the Eternals. Nobody
gives a shit about them.
There are comic fans who don't know anything about the Eternals.
Yeah.
They're like the new gods. Nobody gives a shit. It's a very, very niche thing, even within the comics. But what you listed, obviously, you're just a bigot because those were all led by people of color.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3 made $850 million. Guardians of the Galaxy is a one-off. Guardians of the Galaxy comes in the Infinity Saga at a really good time. It had the original one was fun. The second one was okay. But at this point, you've already built up a franchise that people are like, yeah, let's go watch the new Guardian. You didn't have that with any of these others. They're formulaic bullshit comic book movies with characters nobody cares about. Now, the one exception to that would be Thor, and I would argue Thor is probably actually a C-list character.
Yeah, I would argue that too. He's at best B-list, but probably C-list because, again, most people don't really know him. Most of Marvel characters aren't that widely known.
No.
People know who like the Fantastic Four is from the comics or the cartoon in the 90s and the 70s. X-Men, those are the probably big A-listers after Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
After that, you get into like Captain America. People are vaguely familiar with him from the cartoons. Iron Man, but Thor, Ant-Man, definitely not that widely known. They have characters that they haven't like Wolverine and the X-Men. People know who they are mostly from the 90s cartoon. You could argue Iceman is more widely known than Thor.
Oh, definitely. And there's room for making good. One of the things is you also need a decent story. That cannot be overlooked because even a good character with a shitty story is not going to do well. Just look at the last Fantastic Four movie. The Fantastic Four should at least do mid-range numbers.
Yeah.
They're not your A-list anymore. They were A-list in the 60s.
Yeah. And if they were smart, they'd make Fantastic Four a PG-13 or under movie and aim it at kids. That's a toy line show, with a family theme, aimed at for younger audiences.
Thank you, Kebisar of Old. I misspoke earlier. They fired her for the prequel movie of Snow White. If the September trailer does poorly, they are firing her from the sequel and shelving this version of Snow White. Rachel knows about this. Oh, okay. He mentioned earlier that they fired the actress from Snow White, but they just removed it. Basically, they're canceling the prequel, and that bitch needs to just learn to shut her mouth because she just keeps pissing people off.
I think that's part of the marketing. They're still stuck in that mindset.
I think that she's going too far. She needs a muzzle. Anyway, back to the superheroes. I think superhero movies would be doing just fine if they stuck to the characters that are proven. You can bring in one and try them out and see how it does to try to build a new franchise off of it, but most of those are going to fail. Your Captain Marvel, that's another one-off. The original Black Panther, another one-off. These are ones that get big media marketing from the argument about wokeism that sent tons of people to the theater, which is great for those. But how did the Marvels do? Has that released yet?
No. It's going to be a wacky buddy comedy.
The previews for it and the hype around it are trash.
Oh, that preview trailer was so fucking stupid. That movie is going to be awful.
Thank you, Kebisar. Again, Disney states the remake, if done, will explore other aspects of the character. Snow White's not that deep of a character. They need to just leave Snow White alone. All right, Jack. I think we're pretty much on the same page when it comes to superhero movies. Stick with your A-list character. And Iron Man, honestly, was a B-list character until the Iron Man movie comes out.
Yeah, but at least he had a somewhat more of a name recognizability than some of the other characters.
And his character actually fits who Iron Man is supposed to be. And they did something really stupid. They take that sense of humor and they try to put it in every Marvel comic movie. And you don't need to do that.
Yeah, not everything has to be wacky and silly. It's really annoying, Disney.
Yeah. The only other characters that I know from my reading of comics, which again, I'm much more limited than you.
Obviously.
Maybe Johnny Storm and Spider-Man, when they're fighting, are that quippy.
Yeah, but they're supposed to be the exception because everybody finds it mildly annoying.
Yeah, Thing wants to punch Johnny all the time.
Yeah, because Johnny's always fucking with him.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can't have every character be the comic relief. Thank you, Kebisar, again, who says no one beats Ryan's Deadpool. Deadpool is another one where there's enough. I don't want to put this. He's basically a cult figure.
Deadpool was a passion project by Ryan Reynolds because
Yes.
he likes the character. So
And-
he actually did that Wolverine Origins movie just so he could get a Deadpool movie, which makes a lot more sense about that dog shit film.
Yeah, that was crap, especially the way they did Deadpool. But his fans are very, very rabid.
Yeah.
And they're not that large before the movie comes out, but they're rabid enough that it builds up enough. It's kind of like Baldur's Gate 3, Jack. There's a ton of people who are playing this would never play the first 2 games, probably never even heard of them, but the hype around it from the people who did, and then you get to see it, and hey, that is pretty good, and that just blows up from there. They weren't expecting the Deadpool movie to do as well as it did, especially being rated R.
Yeah.
But the fans of Deadpool and people who were interested because, oh, I've heard a lot about Deadpool, that's what pushed it along. So Deadpool is, I wouldn't call him one of the exceptions like I would with like Captain Marvel, because that one was, let's be honest, that was media-driven bullshit. But his was a niche movie that just happened to turn out well because it's a role suited for Ryan Reynolds, let's be honest.
Yeah, like Darth Mando just said, the character is very much like Ryan Reynolds. He's a joke character. He knows he's a comic book character. He's self-aware and he breaks the fourth wall. It's supposed to be a self-aware joke.
Fugi says was a fan before the movie. Yeah, lots of people were. I knew who Deadpool was. I'd never read any Deadpool though.
Yeah, he was super popular in the late 90s.
Oh God, yeah. Tons of my friends love Deadpool.
Yeah, I never got into it. I knew a chick that was really into it, and she was dating my roommate. Together, they were stupid annoying. So I never really got into Deadpool, but I get it. I mean, he's a very popular character in the 90s. So 90s kids like Ryan Reynolds are going to be like, wow, that's something I want to develop.
Deadpool is Spider-Man for adults. I wouldn't argue with that necessarily. Yeah. All right, Jack. Too many splurges. I can actually see an argument here, but it's not the fact that they were splurging. It's that they're splurging on the wrong shit.
Yeah.
We've seen plenty of $200 and $300 million movies that make back their money and more. You're just backing dog shit. That's the problem. Am I wrong on that one?
They're trying to do too many messaging things. Like they're taking a property they know is popular, and they're trying to ham-fistedly wedge in messaging, and it's not entertaining that way. It's just propaganda.
Mm-hmm. I don't have much more to say about that one because, again, it all just depends on how you're spending that money. If you're making a good Star Wars movie, you'll make back all your money. And even the bad Star Wars movies made back all their money. Each new one of the sequels did worse than the one before, but aren't they all in the $1 billion club? If they're not all in it, they're very close to it. So you have to have something that is worth the money instead of just going, yes, give Shang-Chi $200 million to make that piece of shit cookie cutter comic book movie.
Yeah, well, it's not even good cookie cutter because it's not really a comic book movie. It's a Disney movie. They're like everything on Disney Channel. Like, oh, there's mild tension. Insert 5 jokes.
Yeah, exactly. Which brings us to Indiana Jones and an argument that I had on Twitter, Jack.
Well, before you get to that, thank you, Tier Alexander. Johnny Storm is the kid brother, so he behaves like a cocky flyboy bastard he is. And Spider-Man uses humor to mask his own fears. Peter Parker is such a human character. Thor is a B+ character. And Spider-Man is Spider-Man for adults. Fuck Miles Morales. Yeah, I don't like Miles Morales because he's a lazy discount version of Peter Parker that Brian Michael Bendis came up with because of totally not trying to replace Peter Parker in the Ultimate Spider-Man universe. No, that it was all planned. They were going to kill him. So, yeah, I agree with you. But everybody, kids and adults, can relate to somebody like Spider-Man because he's got real world problems.
Yep. That's why I liked him.
Yeah.
As for Thor, I still disagree on that B+. I would say C+, maybe B- at best. It's kind of like the G.I. Joe comics to me, really. Kind of a niche thing, and even like a Doctor Strange kind of comic. But anyhow, Indy. Let's talk about Indy. I've mentioned many times that I think what they should have done with Indy, and I still think they should do this, is get a younger actor, keep it set in the same time period of the other movies, and just make a new Indiana Jones movie. Stop trying to do this pass the torch shit.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason to pass the torch.
No, they're obsessed with it in Hollywood.
Yeah. You could literally do a James Bond here, and you could have done this with Iron Man. Iron Man's another one where I've said this many times. You don't need the actor who was him. Yes, it's iconic for that role, but I always point to James Bond. Jack, if I ask you who's the best James Bond, what answer would you give me? Okay, let me answer what most people say.
Oh, most people? Sean Connery.
Sean Connery.
Yeah.
He is the iconic James Bond. Many people have played him without a reboot, and nobody's been like, he's not James Bond. The only time I really heard that was with Daniel Craig, because he comes in blonde and doesn't drink his martinis, shaken, not stirred.
Yeah, and it's more action-packed, more
Jason
and Bourne.
The reason for that is because they rebooted the franchise instead of just having a new adventure.
Yeah, it was a soft reboot.
Yeah.
Real fast. Thank you, Jordan. 250. Jack is correct. You don't care to hear a message, whether you agree or disagree with it multiple times, but a fun, entertaining movie. You'll enjoy seeing it again.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. People like action adventure stories, and that's why superheroes were popular to begin with. They appealed to power fantasies of young kids.
With Indy, what they could have done, and they could still do this, Jack. My advice is just to ignore the last two movies and bring it in like nothing ever happened, and just give us a new Indy movie. Have him go looking for something else. There's tons of artifacts that the Nazis were looking for.
Yeah.
And you can just play the formula. And even with those two movies, because Darth Mondo in chat there, he really wants in the show. Not bringing on, no offense, dude. But he's really caught up on the fact that canonically, Indy's in his 80s now. And so you'd have to have an 80-year-old come in. And let me help you out. All right. I'm going to make this really easy for you. The lights go down in the theater. The film starts to show, and you got your previews and then your ads. And those are all done. And finally, the studio thing comes up, and it goes away, and we fade into a jungle scene. And the camera starts to slowly pan. At the bottom of the screen in text, it says 1939. There you go. Indy's back to being young. You don't have to do fuck all with the other two movies. You can ignore them completely, like we did with Ghostbusters 2016.
Yeah.
Just ignore it completely and tell a new fucking story in the Indy universe.
Yeah. They did that with Young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Yep.
Because Indy was an adult when in Raiders of the Lost Ark, but they did this TV show where he's a teenager.
Yep.
And doing all these goofy, over-the-top adventures with every historical figure ever, which was really annoying.
Yeah, I was not a big fan of the Chronicles.
No, it had some decent episodes, but the concept is fine. Have him as a younger man doing stuff. You could set it in the same, like, World War II era, do tons of stuff with the Soviets and the Nazis and God knows who else. You could do it in the 50s when he's slightly older, 35, 40. Do it that way and just have a different actor.
So prequel, I said, no, not a prequel, because that sets it right in the time of the rest of the franchise.
Yeah, because if you remember, Temple of Doom takes place before Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Prequel would be going before we'd ever seen Indy before. Going back to the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. That is a prequel. Setting it back in the same time period is not a fucking prequel just because they made a bad movie where he's in his 80s.
Yeah.
I was in college. I wanted to be Indiana Jones. What can I say? Miss Diana Jones was hot. Look, I liked Indiana Jones. He was one of my favorite characters growing up. Indy and, of course, Han Solo, but both played by the same cool actor with that same cool thing. All you got to do is get a younger actor, got the chiseled chin. Maybe you give him a little makeup to have the whip mark that they, for some reason, had to tell us that River Phoenix got by not knowing how to use a whip.
Yeah, they're just trying to explain his scar away, which, again, unnecessary.
Nobody
he's got scars, so what? He's an adventurer.
Were you ever sitting there going, I wonder how he got that scar?
No, but some executive was like, how do you get that scar on his mouth?
I absolutely hate the beginning of Last Crusade because of that. There's just no need for it.
No, River Phoenix was a hot property at the time.
Yeah. I just don't like when they kind of did this in the Solo movie where they explain shit that nobody cares about. And it's one of the great things in the pitch meeting on that one where he's like, where did Han Solo get his dice? I didn't even know about the dice, if I'm being honest.
I didn't care about them. It was the 70s.
Yeah. And he's like, they gave it a backstory. And it's like, I didn't know I even cared about that. I really don't.
No, but again, it's that desperate need to try and explain some trivial thing that was in one of the films. Hey, let's hyper focus on this one thing that nobody noticed or cared about because some executive's obsessed with it.
Yeah, Indiana Jones has a specific enough profile. Put anybody in that outfit where you can't have some fat slob in there, of course. He's got to be a good-looking young man, probably mid-30s, no later than mid-40s, and just tell a new story. A new story where you're fighting off the Nazis because the Nazis were out there trying to find occult items. They were obsessed with it. It
doesn't even have to be occult items because remember in Raiders of the Lost Ark, he didn't even believe in the supernatural.
Sure.
He saw it as more of a folklore thing. So he could just be after relics. It was very much a proto Tomb Raider thing.
Mm-hmm.
So he could just be after some obscure thing and trying to best his enemy, the guy whose name escapes me right now from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah. Trying to beat him to an artifact. It would be a good chase movie.
And you'd have trouble doing it with him. I mean, because Indy would have to lose at the end.
Not necessarily, because he didn't always lose to him.
Well, I mean, he does say, we see one more time that there's nothing you can take, which I can't take away from you or something like that. When he, at the very beginning, after he falls out of the hole.
Yeah, but I mean, that implies that it's not every time. It's just more often than not.
Yeah. You could also have a different guy. You could have several that are trying for it.
Yeah, I'm sure there's lots of relic hunters. It's the 1940s. It was, or technically the late 30s.
So
you just had Tutankhamun's tomb open in the late 20s. There was a mad rush for archaeology. It was a big thing. And adventures. So you just rip off a bunch of old pulp movies, for God's sake. That's what George Lucas did. The opening scroll in Star Wars, where it says a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, he ripped that off of Flash Gordon serials.
Yeah. There's so many ways you could do it where you don't even have to pay attention to the last two movies. Because you just go back to a younger time for Indy. And this is what they don't get. So when they're like tired franchises, it's not the franchise that's tired. It's the way you're doing it.
Nobody wants your boring woke movie.
Nobody wants old Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
You want the guy who swings on his fucking whip that he has on his hip for some goddamn reason. I'm pretty sure a whip is not a common archaeological tool.
Well, he's more of a tomb robber than an archaeologist.
It's true.
That's how archaeology was back then. They were just tomb robbers.
They're just grave robbers, man. Well, archaeology is grave robbing in a lot of cases. Hashtag not all. Hashtag not all. but they like to go grave robbing.
Yeah, there's plenty of good actors out there that could do Harrison Ford too. Anthony and Gruber, remember him?
I don't even think you have to do Harrison Ford. And this is where I get back.
But they're gonna hyper obsess about that. That's what they keep doing. Like, nobody can play Tony Stark because Robert Downey Jr. killed it, man.
You could get other actors who do a good job. And this, again, I come back to the Bonds on this. None of the Bonds are alike.
No.
None of them. Dalton is arguably one of the worst, is not like Pierce Brosnan, who's not like Sean Connery, who's not like, who's the guy all through the 80s? Roger Moore. They're all different. They all brought something different to. You just need the overall of it to make it work.
You forgot Timothy Dalton.
I said Dalton first.
Oh, I ignored that part. And
see, I said that's how forgettable Dalton is. I said it and you immediately forgot his name.
I know, right? I kept thinking about George Lazenby and how he got robbed.
It doesn't mean every iteration is going to work. I mean, somebody brought up Doctor Who. Doctor Who's another great one. I mean, it's written into the canon that they're going to change, but
yeah, but that was genius writing on their part, because
absolutely.
They're like, look, William Hartnell's brain is going. He couldn't remember his lines. He would call people the wrong name, which they just worked into the script that he's a doddering old man. But by season 3, it was so noticeable they had to replace him, and he had to quit. So they're like, how can we keep the show going? It's really popular. He regenerates. That's brilliant.
That's what you do with Indy, man. He goes into that refrigerator and he gets nuked, and that made a new Indy come out.
We're gonna end up with a zombie Indiana Jones.
Yeah, let's just pretend the last 2 movies didn't happen at all.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. And the idea that only Harrison Ford can play that part is just it's nonsensical. Jack, I come from a slight theater background. Do you know how many characters are played on the stage by different actors on the same fucking night, just in different cities?
Oh, it happens all the time.
All the fucking time.
Phantom of the Opera is a perfect example of that.
As far as I know, every iteration of Grease does not have John Travolta in it. Yeah.
And every actor brings their own thing to it, but you could keep to the core of the character and you're fine.
Yep.
I'm really sick of people saying this actor can only play.
Oh, yeah.
This part can only be played by this actor. That's stupid. Like we have said many times in the last hour, James Bond is the perfect example of this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, look at Jack Ryan. He was played by Alec Baldwin in Hunt for Red October, and then he was played by Harrison Ford in Patriot Games and a couple other movies.
Clear and Present Danger.
He was played by Ben Affleck. Totally different actors.
And then played by the guy who played Captain Kirk when they redid it.
Oh yeah, Christopher Pine.
And then the guy who was in
The Office.
The Office.
Krasinski.
Jack Ryan. Yeah, he's been played by tons of people.
Yeah.
And when it comes to Hunt for Red October, going into, was Patriot Games the first one or Clear and Present? I don't remember.
I don't think it matters.
Whichever one it was, there was not a single fucking person who went, oh, that's not Jack Ryan. Thank you, Kevisar of Old. Ryan for Indy. There you go. The vote for yours. I still think the best Indy, I think they need to go after Scott Eastwood. I think he's got the look. And if they're not going to do that with him, they need to start getting him into Westerns.
I'm good. Yeah, he should be in Westerns. I'm going to DM you the Anthony and Gruber video because he's got it down.
Thank you, Faithless. Chris Pine. That's the one who played Jack Ryan there in, I think it was called Jack Ryan, wasn't it?
Yeah, I just said that like 5 minutes ago.
I didn't listen.
I know.
Okay. I didn't listen to the names you were saying of the things. I was just naming off the actors.
I feel like I just was served with some comeuppance somehow.
I feel like that's karma.
Probably, yeah. I'm not going to argue with that.
There's tons, and it's not just Indiana Jones. Iron Man is the other one that really bothers me, and this goes back to the superhero one too. Look, I love the movie Tombstone, and I think that in my mind, you're not going to be able to do better than Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday. But that's not to say nobody can ever play Doc Holliday again.
Yeah.
It would be perfectly fine to have somebody else in that role. In fact, several people had played that role before Val ever got there. And God, wasn't Wyatt Earp out basically at the same time with Dennis Quaid playing him?
Yeah. Was that Dennis Quaid?
It was Dennis Quaid, yeah.
Oh. What's the one that had Kevin Costner in it?
Kevin Costner played Wyatt Earp. I'm talking about who played Doc Holliday. Doc Holliday was played by Dennis Quaid.
Oh, okay. I got the actors flipped on the parts. My bad.
You completely missed my point. No, your point's bad. Your point is that we either have to have prequels, which don't actually qualify for what the terminology is, or we have to have 80-year-old Indiana Jones, and that's nonsensical. It makes no point. And I pointed out to you several times the Bond thing. And you're just like, no, Indy's 80. No, he's not. I mean, he can be whatever age you make him in the movie.
Yeah, it doesn't have to fit into a specific thing. That's why the Bond movies, they never really they kind of reference the other movies sometimes, but not really. So there's no obvious timeline to them. The Tom Clancy ones, the Jack Ryan films, are probably the best American example because of the diversity of actors that have done it. But they don't have to specifically look like the person in the last movie. There's been tons of times people have been replaced.
Daxie Boy is one of the ones who said that if we're going to do it, we need to reboot Indy. No, please don't reboot. Rebooting Indy is how you get Daniel Craig as James Bond.
Rebooting is how we're going to get some old lady who's a black lesbian with a limp playing Indiana Jones.
Yep, and instead of a whip on her side, she has a foldable wheelchair
to fight the patriarchy.
Yeah. Real quick, let me give this. Kevin Sar, thank you again. The original Indy was a comedic action. Ryan would nail it. Val was an excellent Doc Holliday. Oh, absolutely. Val was awesome as Doc Holliday. Although, I mean, if you know the story of Doc Holliday, that is such a horrible telling of who he really was. It's a really bad telling of the whole Tombstone thing, honestly. It's a great flick. But if you actually look it up, it is a horrible fucking rendition of that history. The history with Wyatt Earp is actually a lot closer to what happened.
Yeah, well, Wyatt Earp was kind of a piece of shit. So
yeah, Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday, the Earp brothers, that whole thing. I mean, for anybody who hates gun laws, that whole thing was they were going to take the guns away from them because they decided you couldn't have guns in town, and technically kind of murdered them.
Yeah. Well, they were also running a gambling whorehouse.
Hey now. He just slapped that guy and took the Pharaoh table. Look, it's a great movie. I love it, but historically it's trash. They get a couple of the people in the right places, I guess. They get Fred White killed in the middle of the street. That actually happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, Iron Man's the other one that really does piss me off. There are other actors that could play that character. And if you want to have your tired franchise and your big budget movie and your superhero fatigue disproved all at once, make a new Iron Man movie with a decent actor. And you'll show people will pop out for it because the Iron Man franchise did fucking amazing.
The problem
thank you again, Kevasar. True, Doc was a serious person, still like Val. 100%. Yeah.
Val Kilmer's a very, very great actor. It's a real shame what happened to him.
Absolutely.
One of the problems that Marvel has, and this is the problem DC Comics had for quite a number of years, is they are stuck in the real world timeline.
Yes.
They insist on having this exact timeline. Like in the Marvel movies, they have to go up to the blip, which was 5 years ago. They use the modern era instead of just leaving it ambiguous and just say present day and 5 years ago, things like that. Yep. No, they have exact dates. And unless that's serving a purpose in your story, it really hinders when things happen. So by saying this happened. Captain Marvel happened in the 90s, and then this Iron Man movie was 2010. By doing that, they're saying we are locked into this, so these characters are now aging, and that's stupid. They're superheroes. They don't fucking age. Everybody is perpetually 35.
Yep.
Robin is perpetually 15. It's always stuck in. You have to have it nebulous for these type of stories to work, because you can build a franchise that way. The comic writers learned that 50 years ago.
It's almost like your soap operas.
Yeah.
And you'll see sometimes in comics a character will age clearly 5 to 10 years and nobody else has.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what they do in soap operas, just so they can keep it going.
Yeah.
In something like Indiana Jones, where you're trying to get it set in this time where people were actually, where archaeology, this could have been plausible. Yeah, go ahead and give specific dates. It's important to the story. In something like James Bond, if you watch the very first James Bond and then the last one before Craig comes in, this is still the same character, but you go from 1960s technology to what, the 20-aughts.
Yeah.
The technology, because they never pin him to a specific time frame. It's just an adventure that happens to this guy. And it's a wonderful way to do it. And Marvel has made a big mistake with this. Oh, Tony's getting older. Tony doesn't get older. These comics have been going on, what Spider-Man since the 60s. So Spider-Man is 17 when we first meet him. And so by that logic, because what is it, 63? 63?
63, yeah.
I forget the year. So what that is 60 years ago. So if you're going to tie him to an actual age, he's supposed to be 77 years old.
Oh,
you
yeah,
can't,
at least.
You can't have a 77. You can't have Trump being Spider-Man.
Oh, it'd be the best Spider-Man ever.
You can have certain milestones like him graduating high school, him graduating college, him getting married. One of the things that they do that's always kind of stupid is bringing kids in. Kids kind of give you a time frame as well. Because if your kid is now 20, you should be 20 years older. It's why I hate when they bring kids into these things.
Yeah, that's why most comics don't have sidekicks anymore.
Yeah.
Because that was done to appeal to younger audiences because they thought they wanted to see them themselves in there, and they didn't. It was a mistake to begin with, but by having kids in there, you have to worry about their growth and stuff like that. It's a little harder to cast somebody that looks alike because kids are shitty actors. Stranger Things ran into that problem with all the kids hitting growth spurts over the 2 years they were off. And they're like, well, this takes place 6 weeks after the first one. Well, yeah, and you're stuck using the same actors because of your stupid contracts. But I think if you could just recast a lot of people and people will go along with it. They're there for if you can believe a guy could shoot laser beams out of his eyes, you can believe this other actor is the same dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Christopher Reeves didn't look anything like George Reeves, but they're both Superman. Shut the fuck up.
The two different roadies. I mean, even when people noticed it, nobody was like, I can't watch this shit. That's a different black guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don Cheadle was way too old to cast in that part, though. God, he looks old as fuck now. But yeah, you can do it. And the problem isn't this nonsense of tired franchises, superhero fatigue, and too many splurges. It's bad fucking writing and wasting your properties. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's all I have to say on that subject, Jack.
No, I agree. I think they're just they're limiting themselves because the people that are the executives or the writers are so locked into a specific mentality that they can't see that they're damaging their own IP.
And that's exactly what it is, man. It's them doing it. It's not the audiences, and they got to stop blaming the audiences for their shit that they keep doing.
Yeah, because they're limiting themselves. They think people are stupid. And no, people just don't give a fuck about okay, well, this 1977 Spider-Man show with Nicholas Hammond, I can't get that out of my head. We got to age him up. No, shut up. Just do a new one. And we got a different young guy playing him. So fucking what? Just make it a good story. People will watch it.
Darth Mondo says, I suck at explaining myself in text, but my point was missed. I covered the things you said. If you have another point, please put it in the chat right now, and I will. What is your point about? I mean, you're the one who brought up he's 80 canonically, and you'd have to have prequels or reboot. What part did I miss there? The whole article is a gaslight. Yeah, it's them just blaming their audience like they always do.
Yeah,
men just didn't come to see this woman film.
You know what woman film did really, really well? Tomb Raider.
Mm-hmm.
Even the second one, which was by arguably a superior movie.
You can have it's when you make the feminist woke trash. The Charlie's Angels movies, when they come out, it's one of the few franchises that they take from television and bring into the modern era. They did really well. They were just goofy. There was a little rah-rah women shit, but it was mostly just silliness. It was basically the TV show. And then they come out with the new one, which is nothing but girl power. And even to the point where they're like, this isn't even made for men. Then why are you mad men didn't come watch?
Because they want their money.
Yeah. It's all it boils down to. And they keep pissing off their audience and then going, it's the audience's fault. No, it's you. You guys.
Yeah, well, it's why the MCU, like that scene in Endgame. Oh my God, I was so enraged. The girl posing scene.
Yeah.
That was so fucking dumb.
She's
Nobody wants
alone.
that. Yeah, nobody wanted that crap then. They want it even less now, and that's why your numbers keep going down. Oh no, it's not. Audiences are just tired of watching this stuff. No, they're tired of your shitty messaging. And they've been tired of it for a few years now. You just aren't getting the point because you refuse to see outside your myopic little view.
Well, on the plus side, Jack, the writers and Hollywood studios are getting together finally after more than 100 days of striking, and the studios gave in to them a little bit, and so the union bosses are like, "Whoo, maybe I won't have to get a real job."
Yeah.
And so that they might be back to writing their fucking nonsense again real soon. Yay. Now remember, guys, it's your fault for not going to see their shitty movies. I don't know how do they miss this? God damn. Stop making bad movies. You can't, real quick, Jack, I'm sorry. They can't point and go, oh, people just aren't turning out for movies. Top Gun did extremely well. This is because I forget who it was. I think it was maybe it was Undoomed who said to me, Indy's from a different era. Top Gun is just a one-off movie from 84. And they bring it back and it did fine. It did great. Because the amount of the wokeness is just limited to, you barely even notice it. Because they just made a fun movie. Anyway, Jack, I'm sorry.
Fun movies? No, we don't do those anymore. No, this is hack writers and shitty producers who don't understand what audiences actually want, fighting to keep their shitty jobs so they can continue to churn out shit.
Yep.
And they're going to bring up a new crop of people who are even worse than them because they don't want them being better than they are, so they can keep their jobs. And we're going to continue to get trash. And it's going to continue to fail, and they're not going to get the messaging until they lose a shit ton more money. So stop supporting this garbage. That Flash movie had all those great actors in it, and Ezra Miller, and it was dog shit.
Yep.
The Barbie movie, people are really divided on that one for some fucking reason. It looked dumb. The Snow White turd burglar film that's coming up, that looks fucking ridiculous. The Marvels, gonna fail. It's predictable. They've been bleeding money, and they've been hiding how much money they're bleeding for a while. Disney's lost $900 million estimate. It's probably double that, I would guess, from marketing. And they're not saying a fucking thing about it. They've been bleeding subscribers because they churn out woke crap on Disney Plus. And they're not talking about that. But it's going to bite them in the ass at some point if people don't engage. Just go watch old movies. Go have fun with that. There's tons of movies you haven't seen. Old action serials. Yeah, they're cheesy, low budget nonsense, but they're fun. And fun is what we're sorely missing. And Monkey, if you've never seen the Captain America serial from 1945, which I know you haven't because it's black and white, there's this awesome scene.
I watched all of the old Batman one when they were wearing the zoot suits.
Yeah, that was great.
But anyway, sorry.
There's this awesome scene where a secret panel starts opening and Captain America just pulls a gun out and shoots the guy. Like, doesn't even wait to see if it's a good guy or bad guy or a civilian. Just pulls a gun out and shoots him. It was hilarious.
Thank you. Understatement. Real quick, before I get to that, I was corrected by Snowflame who said Top Gun was 86. Thank you. Thank you. Understatement says they can't write compelling stories with tension, so they either take out loved characters or they rely on nostalgia to artificially insert it. I would agree with that.
I would argue that they're not taking out the tension. They think that even a minuscule amount of tension is too much because it makes them uncomfortable. And they have to deconstruct characters and, we're subverting expectations. No, you're just a shitty writer.
Oh, don't forget making it for modern audiences.
Yeah.
You mean the ones who aren't showing up to watch your fucking film?
Yeah, because it's a personal agenda by them. So, why aren't you watching what should be an independent film with like a $2 million budget?
I can't say kill in super chat. That's what I meant. Oh no, that's kill when he says take out loved characters.
Yeah.
He meant kill. Yeah, no. Understand like they did with Han Solo and God, I'm so upset with what they did with Han Solo.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
Han was cool, man. He finally gets Leia. They don't necessarily need a happily ever after, but
they made him a deadbeat dad.
Yeah, fuck you. They made him a deadbeat dad. This is the guy who turns around, even though he's got all of his payments and he can get away, he can go pay off his debt. But he's like, my friend needs me. This kid I barely even know, but we bonded and I can't leave. But he leaves his own fucking child.
Yep.
I've seen so many people talk about, how they destroyed Luke. They did, and I'm not disagreeing, but I never really cared about Luke Skywalker. He was kind of a bitch, really. Han Solo was a cool one, man, and they turned him into a fucking shitbag. Fuck you. Gotta subvert the expectations.
Some girl stole his car and his dog.
Yeah. Fucking stupid shit. Anyway, Jack, we are at the almost 2.5 hour mark, so we're gonna wrap this one up. Anything else you want to say about the movie thing?
No, I think recasting is mandatory, especially for superhero films. You just be a little looser with your timeline, because the Marvel universe in the comics is only about 10 years old. It's from the dawn of the Age of Heroes. So from Spider-Man first starting out to where he is now is supposed to be a 10-year span. So it's kind of dumb to age your characters out just because the actor's getting old. It's self-limiting.
And you can get away. Let me get this real fast. Kevin Sarvold, thank you. Sound of Freedom, low budget, over 150 million gross sales, no wokeness. There you go. It can be done.
Yeah. Blair Witch Project had it's the same effect that Blair Witch Project had. Sound of Freedom had a rabid fan base that saw it, loved it, and wanted to support it, and they spread the word online. That's Blair Witch Project had shadow marketing, portrayed it like a real event, and built up a huge fan base for it. So it's the same general principle. It's pretty brilliant. And Sound of Freedom, by all accounts, is a really good movie. I know some people that saw it, even some lefties, by the way. One of my commie friends said it was a great movie because he's opposed to human trafficking.
But to your point about the aging of the actors, you can get away, especially if you start with an actor who's like 30. You can get away with him in the same character for the next 15 years. And you won't even really notice how much they age unless you watch all of the movies together.
Yeah.
Like, we age slow enough, and especially Hollywood makeup and everything. If you watch the first Iron Man and then you watch the the end game, you will notice Robert Downey Jr.'s aged. But if you just watch them as they came out, it's not really that noticeable. Ooh, he's got a little bit of gray in his beard. Yeah, he's obviously an old man now. And then you just hire somebody else who's 30 and you're like, oh, he looks a little younger now, but all right, fine. I hate that they won't just recast, and they're shooting themselves in the foot.
It's incredibly limiting. You like you said, with modern techniques, you can cover up a lot of the aging stuff. You might notice the way he moves is a little different because as you get older, shit hurts now.
Sure.
You know, you've got like joint pain and stuff, but you can cover up a lot of that stuff with stuntmen and CGI.
Yep. And yeah. Stop blaming the audience. We're not the problem. You guys are.
Yeah, it's lazy to blame the audience. Mm-hmm. Take some accountability, you suckers.
Anyhow, guys, we're going to wrap up here. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us tonight. I was not clickbaiting with the title or stuff. They really do want to throw Trump in jail. I just don't think the Secret Service is going to allow that to happen.
I don't know. I think they're going to try it.
I don't know how you do that with the Secret Service having to be there to protect him.
I don't know, but I think they're dead set on it. They're going to this whole thing is a sham. He's already convicted.
Yeah.
That's all there's to it.
Thank you for the donations. You guys are so very kind. Really, really do appreciate that. Jack, anything you want to show out?
I'll drop some links to some cool videos. I had a new short come out today with some chicks in it. Thank you so much for the monies. I appreciate you making your money my money. It really does help quite a bit. And you guys are awesome.
I'm not going to do anything else tonight. I'm going back to bed. This fucking cat, man. Lady Monkey's got to get back home. Oh, she's driving me insane, Jack. But I'm going to go to bed. So I think I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. Is today the 16th? I have a doctor's appointment today. So yeah, no stream at all from me anywhere else. So thank you guys for coming and hanging out. Jack, a pleasure as always.
Always glad to be here.
Guys, have a wonderful night. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye, everybody.
They want Trump to get molested in jail. I hope they all burn in hell. That rhymes, right?